And we're live here on Facebook. I'd like to welcome those listening. Did I say Facebook? Wow, it's been a while since we've been on Facebook. Live here on YouTube. Like to welcome those listening in podcast land. And if you clicked on the link on Facebook, come on over too. And we're live here on Facebook. And now I forgot to mute so that I can see the Okay, we're good now.
See, and this is why probably nobody
listens. We do have 12 subscribers though.
Ooh.
Yeah. But your wife isn't one of them, I'm sure. Does she?
It's all right.
Is she subscribed?
No, it doesn't matter. But we're live. We're talking to each other, and those are the two people that really matter.
The two people that matter and we want to listen are the ones that are on the podcast. We do this because we have fun with it. If it ever turned into something that, we could do for a job, sure. But, maybe we can use it as a resume one day to send a ESPN and be like, hey, put us on the air. I don't think it would happen, but.
Oh, is that when the ESPN, the Ocho is an actual thing and they need content?
Hey, I'm okay with it. I'll be on the Ocho.
Yeah.
You pay me. Yeah. Let me do it from wherever I want to be. I'll do it. I don't care. But, yeah. Anyway.
All right, Mike.
Welcome to the show.
I had a fairly normal, kind of mostly laid back week. Nothing really out in the ordinary happened.
Yeah.
Yeah. Getting ready to go on a trip next week, so you'll be flying solo next week.
Yeah. But that's okay. Hey,
how was your week,
one
Mike?
person listened to the podcast last week. So, yay. My week was good. A little busy. I mean, work's always busy. I work at a school. There's always stuff going on. I'm always doing something. But today was great because the home opener was on in the commons area in the middle school, and I was caught up on enough work that I could just sit down with my laptop and have the game on while doing laptop only work, and good to go.
Nice. I think I didn't really start listening to the game until I was driving home from work. So I think I joined, it was about the third inning when I joined. But I think as I was reading the recap, though, did you hear Johnny Vincent's national anthem?
No.
Would you care to guess how long he held the note in the land of the free? How long that was today?
A minute?
No, not quite.
Oh, okay.
It's in seconds. So how many seconds do you think did he hold that note?
45.
It was only 25.
Oh.
Previously, he was clocked at doing 21 was his previous record. Today, it was 25 seconds.
Okay.
Holding that note.
You think I can get 25 seconds worth of roll?
I think you could.
So, Rich, let's tell the folks what we're going to talk about on the show today. We're going to talk the Cubs baseball and how they did this week. We're also going to talk some NFL rule changes. Rich, what else do we got?
Mike, we'll be going into the NASCAR corner, and hockey history happened today. So we actually will talk just a little bit of hockey. Just a little bit.
Yes.
But, Mike, all that and more. Well, what do we got to do first?
We got to the intro. Broadcasting live from somewhere in Iowa. This is Balls and Sticks, the podcast, with your hosts, Mike and Rich. For all those wondering, that was only 15 seconds. I think I could have gone longer. The problem is I started too high. If I would have started lower, I could have held it as I crescendoed. The problem is I don't hold just a note. I bring the note up, and so that's hitting the top of my register there.
All
so
right, Mike.
you talk about the poll question because I gotta
yeah, we go over our weekly poll question. For anybody that's new to our show or is unfamiliar with the show, which is probably the case, you can find our poll questions on our Facebook page and at Fans of Balls and Sticks. And whether you found our show through Podcast Land or here on YouTube, there is a link to where that poll questions are in our show description notes. So this week, Mike, it was our number 5 seeded Picnics and versus the number 12 seed Spring Cleaning. And Mike, these are our springtime activities.
Yeah.
Which is week 1 of these activities. Mike, I went with Picnics because who actually likes doing spring cleaning, let alone cleaning of any kind, really?
I mean, I think that's a good question. Let me see.
Where did you vote while you're looking up those results, Mike?
I'm pretty sure I voted for Picnic. I'm 95% sure. I didn't vote, but I'm voting right now for Picnics. 100%. Gonna vote. Like, why would you vote for anything else? So Picnics, yeah. And Picnics won.
Who are our votes this week, Mike?
You, me, and Ashley Shreepeck.
All right. Well, thank you for everybody that voted, especially Ashley Shreepeck. So
yeah.
She's been a consistent voter every single week.
Yeah.
So be like Ashley, and vote in our poll question, and make sure to leave us a comment. If you leave us an appropriate comment that's relevant to the question, we'll make sure to read it on air. Read it during our recording here on YouTube. On YouTube, and as well as share it. Get the vote out. So
yeah.
All right, Mike. This week, Mike, we are going to be doing the 6-10 matchup, and it's going to be hiking versus jogging.
I believe it's yogging. The J is silent.
Okay. We're going to have to agree to disagree on that one.
Soft J. Yogging. Yeah.
All right, so I have already got that post scheduled to go live on Facebook. It's going to go live really early at 12:05 Central Time on the 5th. All right, Mike, do you see what's coming up next?
Rich, is it a left turn?
It is a left turn, Mike, and what's after that?
Another left turn.
All right, Mike, and tell them why.
We're heading into the NASCAR Corner, presented as always by I Sports Cards Incorporated, Moline, Illinois. Check them out for all your sports memorabilia needs on 5th Avenue in Moline or on their eBay store. Once again, this is I Sports Cards Incorporated. Rich, this last week we did the Cookout 400. By the way, have you ever been to a cookout?
I have not. I think we ask that question and talk about this every single time Cookout sponsors a NASCAR race.
Rich,
I've just not been that far down into the South.
No, but Rich, is it like
to get to a cookout?
I think there's one not far from St. Louis.
And we have not made a trip through St. Louis yet.
Oh.
Since we knew that cookout was a thing. I think I've looked it up, like when we've been traveling between here and Austin, Texas, and most of the cookouts are in the southeast, like Tennessee, the Carolinas, Virginia, Georgia. So I don't even think there's any in Arkansas.
Oh, I'm sorry. The nearest one to you, you could do it in Memphis. Memphis is a good spot.
You know what? You're right. And we were in Memphis our last time traveling up from Texas, I think. We did go through Memphis, Tennessee.
That's a you problem then. You could have done it in
Yep.
Memphis.
Could have.
They have 6, 7 locations in the greater Memphis area.
Mm, darn it. Maybe next time.
You can
Maybe
also,
next time.
I mean, yeah, I love Cookout. If you ever go to Cookout, get a bacon wrap. I'm just saying, bacon wrap.
Okay.
Like, that should still be on the menu. Let me check. Have they changed it?
I,
No,
I'm sure
bacon
it's
wrap.
still on the menu.
Bacon wrap. Take the ranch off. It's a bacon ranch wrap, but you take the ranch off. And it's bacon, lettuce, and cheese on a tortilla. How is this a bad plan? Their barbecue, like, I'm not telling you that their barbecue's good, but their barbecue's okay. You get some Texas Pete on it, you put some slaw on it, boom, you're good. You get a plate, you got fries, and hush puppies. Their hush puppies are pretty good. Oh, man. Fresh watermelon as a like an ice cream flavor thing, starting in July. I like, boo. Yeah,
All right.
their
So
milkshakes.
getting back on track, Mike. So
Seriously.
Cookout 400. But
I want to, man, now I just want to. So, I used to go to Cookout regularly because I used to go to North Carolina regularly. I don't do it anymore. I want to go again. I'm hungry. I want some Cookout. Okay, with that,
and
Rich,
you made Cookout a stop on when you were traveling with your wife
on our honeymoon.
across on your honeymoon across the
We
south.
stopped regularly. Like, I don't like fast. I don't generally do fast food, but I did Cookout because it was a special thing, and I'll do, like, occasionally I'll do like a Five Guys type thing. But now I can't even eat Five Guys anymore. Don't ask me why. With that, Cookout 400 in Martinsville. Great short track to watch. Denny Hamlin was your winner. Ryan Blaney, Rich, your pick. You did pretty good. He got 11. How'd my pick do?
Mike, your pick of Joey Logano finished 8th, closing the gap as I now only have a 4-3 lead. On the fantasy side, Mike, you were the top man with scoring 224 points. I was the man in the middle with 220 points. And the Dudupo brought up the rear, finishing with 144.
Yeah.
Which, Mike, brings us to Darlington, the track too tough to handle, and it is throwback weekend. As you'll see well, the schemes will be a throwback, the sponsors will not.
Okay, I'm okay with that.
Yeah. Not all the teams. I was surprised that not all of the teams got into the throwback schemes, or you see the paint. I think Kyle Larson's was the one that kind of stood out as kind of odd. Like, I think they were doing it as when they had like Frosted Flakes as a sponsor, but it still has HendrickCars.com as the sponsor. But you can tell by the paint scheme, it should be Tony the Tiger on that car, not HendrickCars.com.
Yeah. I don't like that. That's a problem, but
Fully embrace the throwback scheme and just go with it.
yeah. The problem with that though is that you don't get
You're not going to get the money for
you don't
putting
get the
that brand
money.
on the car.
Yeah. And that's where the problem is, but you know.
All right, Mike. So the Goodyear 400, we already said it's at Darlington. Mike, you have the honors, even though we already know who we picked. Tell the folks who you're going with.
I'm gonna go with Kyle Larson.
All right. I like the pick.
Yeah.
All right. And I'm going to go with Bubba Wallace. We really are trying to make a good effort to pick a different driver every single week.
Yeah.
And hopefully trying not to repeat. Eventually we're gonna get down to the BJ McLeods and the Justin Haleys of the lower, really low tier. So eventually we'll circle back around to the guys that probably consistently run in the top 10 week to week. But for now,
I think
we're going to keep
Justin
going
Haley,
with that track.
I think Justin Haley could be a decent pick at like a. I could think of a couple tracks, a few tracks that I would pick him at.
Talladega and Daytona and Atlanta. Outside of those three, I'm not touching that guy.
Yeah, but I'm just saying.
Yeah, you're right. There are a track. That's just like you're probably not going to put Shane Van Gisbergen in your lineup unless it's a road course.
Right, right.
Great
I mean,
racer, but
I love Shane Van Gisbergen. That guy's awesome. So, um, anyway,
all right. So this Sunday's race in Darlington will be on FS1, and I believe it is a 2 o'clock start time for us here in the Central
Ugh.
Time Zone.
Sorry about that, man. So
All right, so Mike,
I was
that
gonna.
was
Okay, go ahead. Take us out.
that was the NASCAR Corner presented by Triple I Sports Cards Incorporated, Moline, Illinois, and you can also find them on eBay. And I'm sure that there's also a link to their eBay store in our show description, or there could be. Triple I Sports Cards Incorporated. All right, Mike. So from going to the asphalt of the NASCAR track, we're going over to the dirt. Go to the baseball diamond. Mike, how did the Cubbies do this week?
Well, Rich, the Cubbies were 5-1, which is exactly what I said they'd do this week.
Yep, nicely done, sir. I just I didn't want to give them a sweep in Sacramento when they were playing the A's. I don't think the A's are as bad as they are, but maybe I was wrong. But it's also really early too,
Yeah.
and we did have you put a note in here about Carson Kelly's hitting for the cycle.
Yeah. So
Becoming the first
okay.
Cub to hit for that cycle since Mark Grace.
So the other side of that, I listened to that whole game, kind of. Odyssey was screwing up that night. They've got things figured out after that. I can listen at my house. I can listen at work. So I was listening to that whole game. I heard I didn't hear all of the game, but I did hear every one of Carson Kelly's hits. This is the first cycle I've personally witnessed in any way, shape, or form. Like, actively listening to the game, A, when it's hit, but B, throughout the game. It's just the first time I've gotten to do that. To me, it's a special thing. The cycle is such a hard, hitting a baseball if hitting the baseball is the hardest thing to do in professional sports, hitting for the cycle has to be you have to do that a minimum of 4 times, one of which is a home run, one of which is a triple, which is harder than a home run.
Mm-hmm.
And it wasn't like a cheap triple. It wasn't like, oh, they gave him the triple. He legitimately ran that triple down, and he hit it in a way that it careened off the wall, and he legitimately earned that triple. It made me happy. I don't know. I've seen him.
You don't see too many catchers getting those triples either.
That's the other side. First catcher to do it since for the Cubs at least since the 60s, if I remember correctly. Yeah. That was amazing. Were you asleep by then? I think that ended at midnight.
I think I was asleep by then, but I remember I watched the highlights or the recap the next morning.
Yeah, and Rich, have you ever got you and I have been to a lot of games. I've never gotten to see in person a perfect game. I have gotten to see the end of a perfect game. I've not watched an entire perfect game, but I've seen the end of a perfect game. I've seen we've been to a no-hitter.
Yep, I've seen 2 no-hitters. The Cubs throwing one, and then the Cubs getting no-hit by somebody.
Yeah. I'm trying to think. What other big things could you... and I'm not talking the home run, no, you didn't get to see the home run record being broke. But like I'm talking like
I think
actual
I can.
of those active like the things that that happen semi regularly in baseball.
I know you were bring oh not talk about the home run record, but really those one of those like milestone moments I still remember was the Cal Ripken breaking Lou Gehrig's
Oh
streak of
yeah,
consecutive games. I,
yeah,
I remember was up in my room doing some homework, had the game on while I was doing that, and that was cool to see that. I still remember that him playing that game and them stopping the game
yeah,
at the end of the fifth inning because then it became an official game and him going
yep,
around making a victory lap around the stadium.
yeah. Like that to me was just I
And
uh
Kerry Wood's 20 strikeout game. I didn't see that game, but
I
the fact that they still talk about that on Cubs radios
well here's the
is
thing. I
amazing.
actually did. I do remember. So uh uh um okay, that was May 5th, right? And it was 30 years ago.
Hmm.
98, so it was only yeah. Yeah, so that was 98. I was in junior high at the time, and I think one of our teachers put it on, and we watched like it. Yeah, I was in junior high, and one of my teachers was a huge Cubs fan, and he had it on. So we got to watch again. I watched the end of that game. Um, which you know,
But yeah, I mean, it's crazy to think that like Pat Hughes is still like peddling like a copy, an autograph of his copy of his scorecard from that game.
yeah, yeah,
But it was a big moment in Cubs history, and the Cubs just weren't. Well, 98 was a good year for him.
oh yeah, yeah.
98 was a good year, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, 98 was right in the heart of the Sammy Sosa. Uh, uh,
Sammy Sosa's 60 home run consecutive seasons,
yeah.
I think.
Uh, by the
But
way,
yeah,
isn't it
those
good to have him back in the fold?
I still want to see how they're going to how much they're going to let him do.
Yeah, that
How
was
much I guess they're going to have him do, other than
98 was
coming
the
to the
year that
convention and being at
they broke the
being at
records.
spring training.
98 was the year they broke the record, so that was his 66.
Okay, so that was the home run chase year
Yeah,
and the year that they made the playoffs
yeah,
because of his
yeah.
his feet.
That was Kerry Woods' year, like that whole thing. That was just great. I mean, I love it.
Yeah, and you know what? I wasn't there, but it's still something my grandpa talks about from time to time. The Tuffy Rhodes four homer game.
Okay, yeah,
Every single time they said that every time he came up at bat. No, I think it was a three homer game. It wasn't a four. It was a three homer game for a little known guy that had maybe one good season in the majors before going over to Japan. But every time my grandpa got up, he said every single time that he got up, went and got a beer, he came up, hit the home run. So by the time he comes up the fourth time, people in the section are telling him, "Go buy that beer. I'm going to buy your beer. Go, go." And he's like, "Nope. I've missed three home runs by this guy. I'm not missing the fourth." And he didn't homer the fourth time.
so then he had to go get the beer the fourth time, or the fifth time.
No, he
His fifth
didn't.
time up.
I don't think he got a fifth at bat
Oh.
in that game. But it was an opening day game. It was an opening day game too.
Um, I mean, I what game was it? Uh, didn't uh
It was 1994. 3 home runs against Doc Gooden and the Mets. That was opening day 1994.
Yeah, but didn't in 16 one of the Cubs go four home runs for four, or 3 home runs for 3 at bats and a double or something like that?
Maybe. I don't know.
I want to say I remember watching it because I remember that it was a big deal. But yeah, I mean stuff like that. Like I still to this day, I get a kick out of telling people the story of the Carlos Zambrano no-hitter against the Milwaukee Astros.
Mm-hmm.
And yes, when I talk about that team, it is the Astros. That team allowed me to witness something historic. So I will call them that. I still remember leaning down to that little kid and saying, "You're going to remember this for the rest of your life. You're going to remember this for the rest of your life." Woo! Like, for me, that was a special, like, perfect time, perfect place. Yeah. So, it was fun for me to get to listen to a cycle. It's one of those things that I've wanted to do for a while, and I legitimately have been chasing slightly as often as I can. I've been trying to see if I could catch one of those, and we finally did. So, okay, next week, next week they have 2 against LA, 3. Wait, no, that's the week after. Sorry. They have 2 more with the Padres and 3 more with the Rangers. Rich, 5 games. They're on a hot streak. How do you think they're going to do?
I'm going to give them 4. I think they're going to have another above 500 week.
I'm struggling with this one.
Really? Okay.
I said 4. My gut instinct was 4. But here's the deal. The Padres are still a great team.
But their best pitchers are not going to be pitching in this series.
Yeah. But they still have a lot of other spots that they can hurt us. And the Rangers are not an easy team either.
Are you going to downgrade them to 2, or are you going to go with 3, Mike?
They're going to be above 500. Is it 2 games? Is it going to be? Or they're going to be either 500 or?
Well, currently Texas is 6-2 on the young season, so they're also leading their division.
Yeah. I got to go with 3. I'm going to downgrade it to 3.
Okay. You're going to go to 3.
They'll still be above 500, but man, ooh. Yeah. Yeah, we're going to go with 3.
All right. Tune in next week to get Mike's thoughts on how the upcoming week of the Cubs went. And Mike, you know what? I'll go ahead and give my prediction on the air. You can do it as a recap next week. For next week's show, we're having 2 in LA against the Dodgers, playing the Padres again in San Diego for 3 games before coming home and facing the Diamondbacks. But those, I think they're going to go 500 in those games. So I'm going to go 3 for those games.
I'm not giving my prediction until next week.
No,
exactly.
exactly.
Mostly because I want to be able to see how this week goes. Because
I got to put it in. I might change it, so be looking for a possible change. I will have the final number in there probably by Friday. By Friday afternoon, because I know the earliest you'd probably record would be Friday night.
Yep.
So I'll have that in there. I'll have it finalized.
And if I do Friday night, it's going to be a late night. And if it's Saturday, it's going to be early Saturday. I don't know. Next week's going to be nuts because we have... I'll explain after the show. Ask me about next week.
Yeah, of course. All right, Mike. Anything else in the world of baseball?
Um, the Dodgers took a loss finally,
So did the Padres.
and the Padres, yeah,
So I don't think there are any more undefeated teams in the majors.
yeah. So by the Phillies, by the way,
And the Phillies are a good team.
Phillies are a great team. So
Phillies are 6-1.
yeah, yeah. If we wouldn't have had those fake games in
They weren't fake games, Mike.
did we start our ace?
Yes, I think we did.
You think Imanaga is the ace?
Yeah,
Then after a week of rest, why was he not the day one starter?
maybe they were saving him for the home opener, which was today.
Maybe. Or maybe he's
Game
not
one of the
ace.
World Series, the way the rotation is with the 5 pitchers that we have on our starting rotation right now, who do you start?
Well, at the end of the season, I will have a much better aspect of who's doing what. As of right now, I still my gut says Steele.
Imanaga for me. Give me Imanaga.
I'm gonna pull up the depth chart.
We're really going off script and going.
Oh, that's
and,
fine. We
going
got
off the rails.
Yeah,
we
but
do. I know we got time.
We got time.
I know we
with
got
this
time.
one. Oh, okay. Well, the Cubs agree. Imanaga is 1. Steele is 2. So
I'd say maybe they were playing the matchups, but they both throw left-handed, so they weren't trying to have a platoon advantage.
yeah.
By not pitching. And Imanaga, I think, still pitched game 3 of that Arizona
Yeah.
of the Arizona series. So
No, I'm not mad at it. Like I just if the Cubs didn't play in Japan, do you think he would have been the day one starter?
I think you would have been.
Okay. I don't, but okay. Okay. With that, Rich, NCAA tournament. If Houston wins, Houston and Auburn win, I have a perfect. And Houston wins it all. I picked the right championship and the right final. So.
Yeah, you've won our show's bracket.
Yep.
Because if Houston keeps on winning, that's the only way I get points.
Yep.
And you'll get points off of the Auburn-Florida matchup if Auburn wins.
Yeah.
So were you kind of surprised to see all number 1 overall seeds make it to the Final Four?
Yes and no. One of the things that we've seen, and it's one of the things that we've talked about for years, is that as the year gets as NIL starts to get bigger and bigger, there is more there's more time where the majors steal from the mid majors. So with the transfer portal and all that stuff, we see the majors taking huge strides out of the mid majors. And so it makes it harder for the mid majors to do anything. So it makes the majors better and better. And with that, I truly don't get surprised to see the number ones be number ones.
Okay.
So
I was surprised to see. I thought it was further back the last time you had all number 1 seeds, but it was actually only going all the way back to 2008 was the last time we had all number 1 seeds in our Final Four. and that was Kansas, Memphis, North Carolina, and UCLA.
Yeah, yeah. How about UCLA is now in the Big Ten?
Man, I don't. I know they're doing it for the money, and so you can say that, oh, you have a presence out on the West Coast, but it
Give
still
the
seems
man
weird.
his money.
Yeah, still seems weird to say that, oh, Big Ten, but it has Oregon, Washington, UCLA, and USC.
Yeah. Okay, Rich. With that, let's move on as we have NHL. You want to talk the NHL real quick?
Yeah, real
So,
quick. Just happened a breaking, which we normally don't get to talk about much breaking news. But Alexander Ovechkin has broken Wayne Gretzky's
did he
career
break it
goals
or did
record.
he tie it?
Oh, I'm sorry. He tied it right now. He tied it today. Not too often you get when you go to ESPN's homepage, do you have hockey
Yeah.
as the initial story when you open up the app?
I mean, CNN has it as a top story on CNN. NPR has it as a top story on NPR. It's a big deal.
Oh yeah, it is. And I'm sure it's going to be even bigger when he scores his next goal
Yeah.
in his next game.
Maybe in the next game, maybe not. Like that's awesome. He did it in one less game
Hmm, to tie it.
to tie it. One less game to tie it.
So if he breaks it, he would have done it in the same amount of games as Gretzky.
If he breaks it in the next game. If he breaks it in the next game. If he doesn't break it in the next game, then blah blah blah. Anyway. Okay. That's exciting news. That's great. Man, hockey needs some something to bring it back. So hopefully that'll help. Rich, with that, let's move to the NHL because people want to talk NHL. Do you want to talk about any free agency moves, or do you want to just talk about the?
I don't really think there was anything really big player acquisition made. I know you made note of the Dallas Cowboys getting a new backup quarterback for Joe Milton, but the guy had one good game. And while that one good game was enough for me to stash him on our dynasty league, I don't know if he'll make the cut by the time the draft is concluded, if he'll be able to stay on the roster.
Yeah.
But I think I thought with that one game that he would be going to a team where he actually had an opportunity to start and not be in a situation where he's going to be a backup.
Yeah. I thought they picked somebody else up too, but yeah, whatever. Okay.
All right.
Um,
New rules.
Tush push. They voted on it. Nope,
was
they
tabled.
didn't. They tabled it. Yeah.
They tabled it, which what makes sense. That either means that they want to find out more information, or they need more votes to make it a legitimate yay or nay from the competition committee and the owners.
Yep. Yep. So. Then the overtime rule passed. So the overtime rule, basically, what we had last season for postseason overtime rules, is now the overtime rules for the regular season.
I like it. I don't
Yeah.
think you should play under different rule sets. I don't think you should play under a different set of rules.
Now, I did it fully pass or did it just kind of pass?
I'm not sure of what the vote was,
So,
only that it passed.
I think it's just that both teams get a possession. Here's the problem.
Okay.
Can NFL games end in a tie in the regular season still? And if so, then it's still different rules. Like, officially, if you can end in a tie at all in the regular season, that's different than the postseason. So I don't know. That's a little different. But instant replay cannot help. I thought they voted that they could help.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I wrote that wrong.
Okay.
They can help. They can help with other penalties.
Yeah.
5 new penalties that can now be overturned by the booth are hitting a defenseless player, a face mask, a horse collar, tackle, tripping, and roughing and running into the kicker.
Now, can be only overturned or can it be called?
No, can be overturned by the word.
But
One notable aspect of all this proposal is that the replay assistant will not call penalties that weren't flagged on the field. For instance, an obvious face mask is missed on the field. The replay assistant can't go back and tell the referee to throw a penalty on the play. However, if the face mask is thrown on a play where a face mask penalty didn't actually happen, then the replay assistant can step in and have the flag picked up.
Okay. I mean, I'm fine with that, but yeah. And then what else do we have?
First downs
down
will be measured electronically.
Did that pass?
Yes. The NFL announced that the league will use Sony's Hawkeye technology as the primary method for measuring first downs in 2025. The NFL tested the system in 24, and the league is comfortable in using it full time.
Where are you seeing that one? Because I don't see that one even on here.
I'm on CBS Sports, actually.
Okay.
So the NFL and Sony have integrated a world-class on-field officiating with state-of-the-art technology.
So do they still do the chain gang?
They said that the chain gang is being replaced, but it's not going away just yet. The chain gang will still be on the field in 25 to serve as the backup crew in case there are any issues with the new technology. So they did not say when the chain gang would be going away.
Here's the problem I have with that.
Okay.
I know people who are convinced that the NFL is rigged. If we're now letting electronic tracking rule it, and we don't have something physical to show people, why would we? Will this not hurt the trustability that some of these people have with the NFL?
So I wonder with with this technology that they're using, will the yellow line that is there for TV broadcast purposes, will that be more of an accurate representation of where the first down marker is? Because they have always had to say, when it's a close play, it looks like he made the first down, but note that is an unofficial line. That's an unofficial marker.
But Rich, do you know any of the people that think that the NFL is rigged? I mean, I know
you and see it in comments, so yeah.
I know that you do, but I don't know that you know that they do. Anyway, with that, how do you, this will make people convinced less that the NFL is not rigged. This will people will say it's more and more rigged every time. Because they don't have the chain gang. When the chain gang was out there, I at least could see it. Yeah, but that's not how that works. The tracking they can lie about the tracking. They technically can. And that's the other problem. they can lie about the tracking. I think that's a bad idea.
Mm. Yeah, I think that I hope the chain gang doesn't go away, but they're actually used on the field, and maybe the Hawkeye system specifically tells them where to put the ball. And how many times do you hear the commentators say, "Well, that was a generous spot of the ball.
Right.
They got a generous spot of the ball, or the spot of the ball didn't
I think, and
was
that's what I think that
reflected
what
the
I
play
think it
too."
is. I think that spotting the ball. I think that using it for spotting works. I think for using it for the measurement doesn't. So that's kind of where I am on that. Okay, roster changes. Teams may now designate 2 cut players to return to the active roster at the final cut down of to 52. This is for injured players and clears up awkwardness where players need to be on the active roster for at least 1 day before being able to return. This essentially means 2 additional players can earn initial roster spots without being released and then re-signed. Playoff teams may now designate 2 additional players as designated to return, bringing the total number of 10 up to 10, up from 8. And points differential is the third tiebreaker on waivers. So I like that. I like that one passed. That I like that rule. I mean, essentially it means that you have a 5-man roster, 2 of which aren't actively on your roster, but they are kind of. You have to put somebody on IR in order to put those 2 guys in, and that's fine. Now, do they get paid?
I don't know.
I think they should have to get paid, because I'm sure that means that they have to be able to make practices and stuff regularly. So, anyway, okay. Also, free agency has changed. This is the biggest off one. It allows teams to conduct meetings with players over Zoom, which is fairly minor, but more importantly, allows the team to schedule meetings with free agents before legal tampering period begins. This just extends the legal tampering period, doesn't it?
I think so.
Like, that's all it really does. Whatever. These meetings can be scheduled before the league year opening, which means we could see top free agents begin to tip their hands as soon as the Super Bowl is over. Yes, this means the league year is going to feel even longer. There's going to be more data to track.
And it keeps them more in the cycle. It keeps them in the news cycle all year round.
Exactly. That makes more sense to me on that. And finally, Rich, give the folks the biggest rule change of them all for 2025.
You know, before we get there, there's one more. There was one more, I guess. Flexing rules for Thursday night football games will undergo a slight change.
Okay.
Over the past 2 years, the league has required to give a 28-day notice on if a game would be flexed into Thursday night. Now they only got to give 21 days. So basically it goes from 4 weeks to 3 weeks. So how many times when we've been going through the schedule have we said, wow, this is going to be a terrible game and I got to pick a winner. So maybe we'll get better matchups this way.
Yeah. Okay.
In Thursday night football.
That's good to know. And the final rule of the year that everybody's talking about.
Yes. The kickoff rule will now see a touchback be spotted on the 35-yard line instead of the 30-yard line.
Which touchback, Rich?
the a touchback on a kickoff.
Okay, timeout. Okay, I got seriously. We kind of are planning. We planned this, so this is kind of off the cuff, but it's kind of not. Truly, though, I do ask which touchback because last year's rules had two different touchbacks. Last year's rule had what's called the landing zone. If the ball lands in what's called the landing zone, an area from the 20-yard line to the end zone, and then rolled into the end zone, and a player downed it in the end zone, it only came out to the 20-yard line. Is that the same?
We could not find out whether that was the same or not. The reason for getting the rule change was mostly due to wanting to see more kickoffs.
Yeah, kickoff returns.
Because too many teams were still kicking it through the end zone, not even putting it in the end zone to where you could have a return team bring the ball out. So they're trying to prevent that. And of course, you'll still have the rule to where if the ball lands out of bounds, it's still spotted at the 40-yard line as a penalty instead of the 35. So.
Yeah, and the other side of that whole thing is if it lands in the end zone, it's the 35. If it lands out, if it goes out of the back of the end zone, it's the 35. I still don't know if the landing zone is still a thing. That's the only question I have. Outside of that, so we changed the rules on the kickoff and to make it quote unquote safer, and essentially made the kickoff a moot point. Then we are mad that we're not getting enough returns, so now we want more returns. So now we're changing the rules to make more returns. Like, is that what I'm seeing?
I think so. That makes sense.
So I don't know. This is so strange to me. Okay. Am I mad at it? No. But I don't know.
And finally, Mike, the ability for the trailing team to kick an onside kick at any time during the game was tabled. Currently, a team can only kick an onside kick in the fourth quarter if they are trailing in the game. I miss it, Mike. I think it's silly that a team has to declare that, hey, we're going to kick an onside kick. That was an iconic play during that Colts Saints Super Bowl when the opening kickoff of the second half, they onside kicked it out of nowhere. They didn't line up for it to be an onside kick. They just kicked it as an onside kick
and that's the other
and
thing.
Recovered the ball.
Yeah.
Let them play the game.
Yep.
Don't make it to where, you have to declare, you have to tell the team that you're playing an onside kick. That's like you're playing the video game version of an onside kick, because what happens when you can look over at your opponent's screen if you're playing in the same room and see that, you've got the onside kick, and you see how they're lining up before the play starts, so you have a way to audible and bring your team up, where it's in a sense you're declaring that, hey, I'm kicking an onside kick. You better adjust. You can adjust.
Yeah, I hate it too. I think it needs to be. I can't bring it back. It needs to be brought back. Not having it is stupid. The element of surprise is good. All of it. So why would you?
I mean, I guess now with the way that they have the kicker kicking it off from one spot of the field, but the players being so far distance from the kicker, you almost have to say, hey, we're kicking in an onside kick, because then that changes the formation of the game. That changes the formation.
Yeah.
But I miss the old rule of that you could kick a onside kick at any point during the game, whether you're trailing or whether you're winning.
Yeah. Okay. With that, Rich, do you got any other talk that you want before we do a spoiler alert?
I do not. So let's go ahead and do those spoiler alerts.
Spoiler alert, spoiler alert, spoiler alert. Rich, you need to take off your headset. You haven't seen the Masked Singer this week, I know. So you need to take off your headset. But before you do, tell the people where they can catch us if they want to participate in poll questions.
All right, you can find our poll questions at Fans of Balls and Sticks over on Facebook, as well as our Facebook page. And Mike and I usually try to share those posts as well. So this week's poll question is jogging
Rich
versus hiking, and that poll is going to go live at midnight if you're watching this, if you're listening to us live here on
Rich,
YouTube.
I believe it's called yogging. The J is silent.
Okay. All right, Mike. While we're still giving more time for spoiler alerts for people like me that haven't watched The Masked Singer yet. If they're watching us here on YouTube, where else can they find our show?
I can confidently say you can watch our show or you can find us anywhere where you get your podcasts. I uploaded all of the shows up to last week. I am prepared to upload the show for today. We'll be ready to go. It should be up before midnight tonight.
All right, and finally, Mike, if they're listening to us out in podcast land, but they'd like to interact and watch the show live, where can they find it?
Facebook or youtube.com/@ballsandsticks. youtube.com/@ballsandsticks.
Yep, and no matter where you're getting our content, whether it's in podcast land or on YouTube, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. And we also got links to our poll questions to the Facebook page in those descriptions on those platforms. And with that, Mike, I think that's more than enough of a spoiler alert. So
Esports
am going
Mario
to
Kart 1. Boom.
Turn you down.
Okay. This week in Masked Singer, they had boy band night where we saw all the 90s boy bands come through. With that, we saw Nessie did great and Mad Scientist did great. Yorkie and Stud Muffin stumbled a little bit. With that, Stud Muffin went home, and it was Method Man. Okay. I think the right guy went home, but that's all I'll like. I think that the way that it went this week, the worst performance of the week went home, and that's how it should be. So, you're good, Rich. Come on back. You're good. So, with that, Rich, do you have any shout-outs for the week?
I might as well give a shout out to the reason why I'm not going to be here next week, as it is Amy. I'm going to be missing next week's show because it'll be Amy's great Aunt Nancy's 100th birthday. So we're going to be going up to the Minneapolis area to be able to at least make an appearance at an open house that she's having, and a little bit of a family reunion up there in the Minneapolis area.
Yep. With that, Rich, what's the time to do?
Mike, why don't you go ahead and roll that outro.
Broadcasting live from somewhere in Iowa, this is Balls and Sticks, the podcast, with your hosts, Mike and Rich.